welcome back or welcome to my YouTube channel, Kashae's Tuesday. I am Kashae. Hello, welcome back. So I'm really excited about today's video because I am doing a 1-month crochet update haul type of thing. I've been crocheting for like a month now and I want to show you guys every single thing that I made. We are going to do an update and I'm going to show you everything I made as a beginner, as someone who has literally never crocheted before. I decided to start crocheting about a month ago on a whim. I kind of avoided learning how to crochet for years because it just seemed hard. I'm not gonna lie, it just seemed hard. I would watch people who would crochet on YouTube and they talk about like counting stitches and reading patterns, and it just looked hard. I had been watching Crochet by Jenna for like 5-6 months before I decided to actually learn how to crochet. I normally make art with like polymer clay and paint. Fiber arts was really new to me. A couple years ago, I did try to make scrunchies with a sewing machine and I hated it. So that is like my only experience with fiber arts. I mean, I did the scrunchie thing like once or twice. I did not make a successful one, but unfortunately I do grow bored and burn out of my hobbies pretty quickly. If I tend to do one thing for too long, I get bored. I was bored of painting, I was bored of polymer clay, and I was just in the middle of watching one of Jenna's videos and I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna learn how to crochet. She had made so much in like a day and I was like, it just can't be as hard as I'm making it out to be in my brain. I just randomly was like, you know what? It's my birthday month. This is gonna be my birthday present to myself. I am going to buy yarn and crochet supplies and I am going to learn something new. The first thing that I did after I ordered all my stuff was I realized it was going to take a week at least to get to me. I did not want to wait a week and I'm just like a Dollar Tree girly, so I was like pretty sure that they have yarn in Dollar Tree, and then my mom took me and I got yarn that day. I got Dollar Tree Premier like chenille yarn, I believe. They had 3 colors in stock, black, white, and pink. All the videos I was seeing, everyone was like, make a bee first because it'll teach you like color changing, increasing, decreasing their sewing, and it's like kind of beginner friendly. So that is what I started with. This was the first thing I ever crocheted. The magic ring almost made me not even want to do this hobby. I'm not even gonna lie. The first few attempts at making a magic ring, I cried. I was like, this is so hard. How can anybody do this? Which is so funny now because I think they're so easy, but it's just funny that like I cried the first time I tried to make one. I did keep this instead of frogging it because I just felt like I wanted to start the bee over. Not that I gained any knowledge or anything. I was just like, this feels like a lost cause, but I kept it. And this is like the first thing. So some notes, I didn't really know what a stitch looked like. I didn't know you were supposed to go under both stitches. I couldn't even really see both stitches because of what I was doing. And this yarn is very cheap. It was snapping and falling apart everywhere. I also saw that people recommend that you don't get like black, white, dark colored yarn. And I mean, not that this yarn is so dark, but it is, you know, kind of dark. And so of course I got the 3 worst colors you could learn with. Later on, I found a really helpful TikTok and it gave me tips on how to do a magic ring. Kind of got it down, and this was my attempt at a bee. This is supposed to be the front of the bee, but I decided that this was going to be the back because it was so pointed, and this was like kind of flat and round like a face. And I'm really proud of myself because look at those color changes, and with black too, like oh my god. But I did not really know what a stitch looked like. I was just going under and pulling through like, and then I did the wings, which are just 2 magic rings basically, and I sewed them on, which again looks insane. This is inside out because that was something I figured out later on, that you kind of start off crocheting inside out and then you have to flip it. So this is like fully inside out. I could not hold yarn to save my life. I'm still struggling with that, but it felt very unnatural in my hands, so this was really hard to do. I also could not figure out how to decrease. It was kind of just a gaping hole, and then I sewed it shut, and then I just ended up with this bee that has all these holes in it. I wasn't counting my stitches. I didn't know how to do that because I didn't know what a stitch even looked like. No eyes at all. I tried to embroider eyes on, couldn't figure that out. This is just my little bee guy, but I am kind of proud that I was switching colors. I mean, that's kind of impressive. I did magic rings and sewed the wings on, so that's cool, but this is my sad little first bee. I actually took a break between my first project and my next one. I finally finally decided to use my yarn winder, and I love the cakes. And then I decided to make a leggy frog. Here is my leggy frog. I think we can see some improvement. I still wasn't doing my stitches right, so I wasn't recognizing them. This is when I kind of realized after the head that the V was the stitch. You're supposed to go under both stitches in the V. I think before I was just going under the first one. From here to here, I was kind of doing what I was doing with the B, and then down here they started getting way more uniform, and I just think that is crazy. Like, you can literally see when I realized what a stitch is. The start of my frog looks kind of brainy and weird, but the rest is like really uniform. I would just like to say that nobody mentioned going under both V's in like any tutorial. I guess they did show it. Saying it just kind of flipped a switch. This is also when I realized I like to hold my hook like a pencil and not like a knife. I think he is a bit overstuffed. The eye placement is really crazy because there's no clear row or stitches or whatever. One of the arms is like really crooked. This one is like kind of back here because I was having trouble turning the stitch. I don't know. Making the ends of the hands and feet were really hard. I don't know what kind of stitch this is, but it was hard. It did call for a mouth, but I didn't even attempt it. But some things I did attempt. I did successfully put blush on. I turned him inside out because I realized like the inside looked better than the outside of what I was crocheting, and I was like, is this supposed to be inside out? And apparently yes, it is. That is Leggy Peggy and her story. Next, I made a mushy pop. It is supposed to have a face, but he does not. These are two different types of yarn. This yarn is really thick and it was hard to work with on my hook. I just have really tight tension and it still wasn't improving by this point. And like with this really fluffy yarn, my hook size that wasn't really correct when I got to brown, it was just ending up really tight. And this yarn, this brown yarn, is kind of stiff. Also with this mushy pop, learned how to decrease, which is so interesting because I could see my stitches. So I learned how to decrease, which is really, really cool. But the pattern tutorial did not end up working out for me with the stem. It was getting really tight and really small as I was decreasing. It was like hard to even put my finger in. I just freehanded towards the end and I just kind of frogged it and then vibed after that and then ended up with this. I did the thing, like it's a mushroom and it pops. Like, very proud of myself for that. My magic ring did turn out really good. The leggy frog didn't call for a magic ring, but this one did and it turned out good. I'm very happy with it. Next, I decided to do a project that would exercise sewing. I really love this channel. I saw it on a reel. I don't know how to say her name. I really wanted to make a bear. I looked up on her channel and found some bears and I picked one that I really liked. And this is Theodore. I decided to challenge myself with a bunch of things with him. I wanted to make this as fast as I could, not make like one plushie a week like I was doing. I wanted to see if I could do like 2 to 3 weeks, so I needed to move quicker, you know what I mean? This is also the plushie where I decided to try learning how to read patterns. It was because I was realizing going through the tutorial that like I could move kind of faster than the tutorial was moving. But once I was understanding what the stitches are, I was like, oh, let me look up the pattern and see if I can read it. And I could read it. I understood the pattern. So that is like a huge milestone, you guys. Like, I know how to read patterns now. I pretty much read this entire pattern and crocheted at the same time. And so I could finally like watch my shows and crochet at the same time, which is like so amazing. I just would refer back to the video if there was parts that I needed clarification on or if I didn't understand something. But for the most part, I was reading the pattern, which is amazing. I was learning to really count my stitches and everything was turning out evenly. I mean, he just looks so good. Like, he looks so good. I could count them and that helped me make sure at the end of each row that my stitch count was correct because I could see them, because I knew what they looked like, because I was doing it right. Oh my God. And if I forgot if something was supposed to be an increase or something, I could literally go back and count it. So this is also the plushie where I got really confident in my decreases. I literally learned how to decrease like by heart, you know? I didn't have to refer to anything and I'm just so happy with Theodore. I love him so much. Oh, he is so cute. I think this did call for him having a sweater or something, but I'm not ready to do wearables yet. Okay, this was a feat within itself. Like, I had to sew on his 2 feet, his 2 arms, his head to his body, the ears, and then this white part onto the ears. So this was a lot of sewing. With this color change with Theodore's legs, she did it with acrylic, and I have not crocheted with acrylic yet. I was like, this is the perfect opportunity for me to try acrylics. When I made his leg at first, I tried it with acrylic. This is how it turned out. It's really tight. I can't do it. My tension is already not 100%. So trying to do this and then like crocheting in the yarn change and the color change, it just was not working out. Like, you can see the difference between like both of these legs. I love the look, like a plush bear or like a plushie, and then they have acrylic accessories. That is so cute. I mean, I guess one day I'm gonna figure it out, but I don't know when. Something I did notice, his head was really wobbly, so I sewed it like a second time around to kind of stabilize it, and that pulled into some of the stitches right here. So he's kind of stretched out, but I mean, I don't care. He's mine. He's perfect to me. This is also where I really did some nice blush work. I don't know, like I went over and I really figured out how to sew on some blush, and so I think I can embroider now. Like, I figured it out. It doesn't look like rocket science to me anymore. I use one of my safety noses for the first time. I love him. I just really do. So I have to figure out the wobbly head thing. I did look up some tips, so maybe in my next update I'll tell you guys what worked for me, but he is perfect. So the next thing that I made, which you guys saw a video on, this little frog boy, Fred. Wanted to make myself a frog pillow for my birthday, but turns out I don't know how to size up, and I don't probably have the correct hook size and yarn and all that stuff. He turned out little, which is fine. Sewing is particularly hard for me to do. His eyes are crooked, and one is definitely bigger than the other. I'm not sure why. This is the first time I attempted a mouth. It's okay. I think I need to do this with acrylic. I kind of went back and did it a couple of times, and this was like the best it was gonna look. It was straight across at first, and I was like, I want him to smile. So I kind of figured it out on my own without watching a tutorial, and this is what I came up with. I think he is so cute. I think he's adorable. You guys saw with Leggy Peggy, I didn't even attempt to do a mouth. Like, it just seemed too hard, but now I'm understanding how to do it, which is so cool. He is pointed. I'm not sure why. I definitely need to figure that out. I love him so much. And I guess I have to show you the last thing that I made. Unfortunately, I made it this morning. I didn't even really want to show you, but I'm showing you everything. So here is this penguin. This is Squirt. My cousin stayed over last night, and he was like, so what's new with you guys? And I was like, oh, Teach. His name's TJ. I was like, Teach, I learned how to make stuffed animals, you know, because I'm riding my Theodore and Fred high, and I'm like, I learned how to make stuffed animals. If you want me to make you something, I could just whip it up. I could just whip it up. You know, I can read patterns. Like, I could just whip it up. And he was like, oh, can you make me a penguin? So I started this penguin later into the night. I started it with black yarn, and of course I couldn't see anything. Even with the light on me, I could not see a thing. I've never crocheted really like fully with black yarn. I mean, I did 2 rows of the first bee I ever made. Does that even count? I frogged this like twice. Fully. On the 3rd time, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna continue this in the morning. So on the 2nd day, I actually specifically found a pattern that would do a color change, because I'm like, I can't do this whole thing in black. The original pattern I was following was the one by the Woogles or the Wobbles, and they did it where it was like all black and then a white belly. I was like, I cannot do this all black thing. So I frogged it again, and then started the next day on this one with a different pattern that called for some different colors. With this white yarn, I was getting to this white. This is not my Premier Parfait Chunky white. This is my Dollar Tree white. And you might be wondering why I decided to use my Dollar Tree white. Well, it's because I've been needing to use up my Dollar Tree yarn. And so I figured, because I didn't know how to crochet when I first started using the Dollar Tree yarn, that it would be fine. I'm like, oh, I just was inexperienced. Like, I just need to use up this Dollar Tree yarn. It's probably fine. I know what a stitch looks like now. Why I did that, I don't know. Somewhere along the way, I was was losing stitches. This white was like turning yellow. All of these color changes, like where this front area and stuff. Oh my goodness. My stitches were so loose. I couldn't see anything. This white yarn is like impossible to work with. It's like thin, it's hard. My tension already is iffy, so it was like extra crazy to work with. I lost like 10 stitches in the round. I had to like modify it as I was going along, and it turned out really slanting this way. I don't know why. And there's all these holes and gaps, and as you can see where there's no color changes, it's fine. It's just like this yarn and then all these little color changes in the same row. I've literally never color changed this much. It was driving me a little insane. I was ready to be done this. Like my hand was hurting and I started decreasing earlier. I freehanded the arms. Like I just got off the pattern. I have to finish this. Like there's no way I can keep decreasing from like 46. Like it's not working. All the way down to 8. No. I just freehanded it and ended it. There were many holes. Many holes. You might be wondering, why is the beak so big? Because I wanted to cover up the holes. I thought I could salvage this. I really thought I could. I really tried. You see, I did the arms really cute. I tried to give them some again, I'm covering up holes. This thing drove me nuts. There were so many gaps, so the beak just turned out to be huge because I was covering all the gaps. I couldn't even finish it. Like you see, I didn't even finish the blush. I'm like, I can't. I did not obviously have the heart to frog it from here. That's crazy. I never want to work with black yarn again. I never want to make a penguin again. I cannot give this to my cousin. I just couldn't. I have to make him another one. I want a penguin because I'm like in love with the bottom. If I was using Premier Parfait Chunky, I think this would have came out better. This yarn was just so hard to work with. I could give it, look, I think I could give it another go. Poor squirt. I'm just coming on here to say that yes, I did redeem myself. I remade the penguin. I used a different pattern, but I don't think that was my downfall. I definitely think it was the white yarn. This color change is kind of weird with this row. I might have messed that up, but other than that, he is perfect. And I love him so much, and his name is Porky. Just for reference, this was my first attempt, and this was my second a few days later. Yeah, so this is much better. That is everything that I made in this past month. Look at all of my children. Look at all of my babies. Aren't they so cute? I'm a proud mother. Hug check. Is this really a hug check? I don't know. I thought that I would just do a hug check in honor of me learning how to crochet because of Jenna, Crochet by Jenna, and these are all my babies. So eventually I will do a video of like my crochet favorites and things that I bought that were totally unnecessary. So stay tuned for that soon. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next Tuesday. Bye!